write it as well. Okay, so let's skip on to number 11. Number 11, I have a negative out front. You know I don't like the negatives, but I also have a greatest common factor of 2. So negative 2, I end up with 9a squared plus 6a plus 1. Alright, so now the inside here I don't have a greatest common factor. So what I'm going to do is Lizzie, but I'm only going to be Lizzieing the part that I'm going to highlight. Well, I thought I was going to highlight. This part here, that's the only part that needs to be Lizzie'd. That negative 2, it just sits out there, and it really just, all you have to do is just keep rewriting that in this problem. So negative 2, and then I'm going to rewrite my trinomial by taking that 9 and multiplying it by 1. So this is a squared plus 6a plus 9. Okay, and what multiplies up to 9 and adds up to 6? I think you see it. 3 and 3. A plus 3 times a plus 3. And remember that you have to now divide by 9. So, negative 2, a minus 1/3. I'm going to see if you can follow me here. Just since it's it's plus a plus 1/3 times a plus 1/3. That's going to be a plus 1/3 squared. And then I'm just going to take that 3 and move it out front. Remember, reduce if possible, and if you can't reduce anymore, like right here, I can't reduce anymore, I'm going to move the 3 out in front of the a. So negative 2, 3a plus 1 squared. And that'll be your answer. Go back and redo that one a couple of times if that one's giving you trouble. Number 12. I see a greatest common factor of at least 5. So that's what I'm going to start out with. It's just dividing by 5. So I have 5, or factoring out of 5, and I have a 4z squared minus 140 out of 5 is 28z, and 245 out of 5 is 49. Is there anything that goes in all three of these numbers? I don't think so. 4 goes into 28, 4 doesn't go into 49. So now this 5 acts like a lot like that negative 2 did in the previous question. All you have to do is just keep writing that 5. And the only thing that I'm going to factor now is the inside of the parentheses. Okay? So I'm going to have to Lizzie method the inside of the parentheses there. So z squared minus 28z plus 49 times 4. That's 196. So what multiplies up to 196 and adds up to 28? Negative 28. What multiplies up to 196 and adds up to negative 28? Well, when I think of 196, I know that it is a perfect square. I know it's 14 squared, so that's what I'm going to start out with. 14 and 14. And I bet if they were both negative, they multiply up to positive 196, and then they also add up to negative 28. So that's what it's going to be. It's a perfect square trinomial. So z minus 14 times z minus 14. Can I just go ahead and square it right here in this step? I'm squaring it earlier and earlier in each question. I'm going to go ahead and square it there. So now, since we're using Lizzie's method, we're going to have to use this take this 4, divide by 4 here. 5 times z minus 4, and 14 can reduce because 2 goes into both. 7 over 2 squared. And then you're going to reduce that, this number, I'm sorry, the fraction's already reduced, so now all you do is take the 2 and move it out in front of the z. 5 2z minus 7 squared. And that should be it. We had a greatest common factor that we had to do first, then we did Lizzie method. And in that Lizzie method, reduce when you can. When you've already reduced, or when if you can't reduce anymore, you move the 2 out in front of the variable. Alright, and number 13. You probably won't see too many factoring situations like this. I'm just showing it to you just because it's in your book. This is a perfect square trinomial because this is a perfect square and this is a perfect square. And I bet this one multiplies or is 2 times 1 times 9. 2 times that's the square root of that. Okay, so here's what we're going to have to do. For this one. X times x gives me x squared. I know it's going to be 9 and 9. Minus 9 minus 9. And let's just try putting a y here. X squared minus 9xy minus 9xy plus 81y squared. So that's basically how you would do this kind of question with two variables. Okay, so basically it's the same thing as factoring x squared minus 18x plus 81. So if I factor this, I'd say what multiplies into 81 and adds up to negative 18, it'd be minus 9 minus 9. Well, here's the only difference, is that I have a y and a y squared here. So I have a y and a y here. Alright. If you're unsure about your answer, again, all you have to do is FOIL out. X times x is x squared. Minus 9xy minus 9xy plus 81y squared. Okay? And number 14, same kind of deal with number 14. I think, let's see, it doesn't have any greatest common factors, but the first one is a perfect square and the last one's a perfect square. So that's going to tell me perfect square trinomial. 2 times 3 times 5. 2 times 3 times 5. 2 times 3 is 6 times 5 is 30. So that's why this is a perfect square trinomial, because it does add up to 30 there. So anyway, I'm going to put a 3x here and a 3x here. Also a 5y here and a 5y here, and they both have to be negative since they add up to a negative and multiply up to a positive. And then what you want to do is just double check it to make sure that it's correct. So that's 9x squared minus 15xy minus 15xy plus 25y squared. And you see this is exactly the same question as what we started out with, or the same answer as what we started out with. Alright, so I hope that helped you. Again, that was page 91, numbers 1 through 15. It says Factor the Polynomial in the Math 1 book. Enjoy.